Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for checking out this video. We're going to be going over the Week 9 snap counts. We'll look at the box scores and all the important snap counts and just kind of review every game here. We have a total of 13 games to go through, it looks like here. We got the Chicago-Pittsburgh game going on in the background right now. But let's get right into it. Not the Chicago Bears, but the New York Jets and the Indianapolis Colts played Thursday night. Colts take it 45-30. Colts move to 4-5. Jets fall to 2-6. Before I get into the box score, let's look at the snap counts on the Colts side real quick. So if you're new to the channel, the way that I do this is I basically just read the snap counts for wide receivers, running backs, and tight ends. If there's a notable quarterback, difference, if there's two quarterbacks in the game, I'll usually say that. But for the most part, we're just ignoring linemen and just kind of looking at the offensive pieces here. So for the Colts, Michael Pittman Jr. Leads the way with 85% of the snaps, 53 total. Zach Pascal, surprisingly, just 84%, basically the same as Michael Pittman Jr. So I kind of like Pascal as a sleeper here. No T.Y. Hilton in this one. So anytime no T.Y. Hilton, Zach Pascal is going to be an interesting play as a wide receiver flex option. Jonathan Taylor leads the running back, 69% of the snaps here. Jack Doyle and Mo Alie-Cox are the top two tight ends, 68% for Jack Doyle, 61% for Mo Alie-Cox. Nyheim Hines had a good game in this one. We'll look at the numbers in a second, but 45% of the snaps for him. Ashton Dulin, Desmond Patman, really nothing to notice about here. And then Kylan Granson, 6% of the snaps. Interestingly enough, no Marlon Mack snaps in this one. On the Jets, we did see Mike White start the game. Mike White only able to play 14 snaps. That's roughly 18% of the Jets snaps. So Josh Johnson came in, and he played 82% of this game. Jamison Crowder led the way at wide receiver, 79%. The next best receiver, Elijah Moore, tied with Denzel Mims. Both guys played 60% of the snaps. Keelan Cole did play 49%. Nobody else really worth noting there for wide receivers. Ryan Griffin led the way at tight end, 62%. They really don't use the tight end, though. Trayvon Wesco, 19%. Tyler Kroft, 19%. He also had a lung laceration in this one. So the Jets kind of had to use a lot of guys here. And it was interesting when the backup quarterback came in, and he actually played pretty well. Josh Johnson actually kind of helped provide a spark there in the second half. It got ugly. It was 42-10 at one point, but Josh Johnson led 3 straight touchdown drives. So the box score real quick, let me go to these numbers real at the top here. So Josh Johnson, 27 of 41 attempts. He threw for 317 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 4 for 18 as a rusher. It sounds like Mike White's going to be fine. He had a forearm contusion. So we're going to see who the starting quarterback is next week. But either way, I like the way Johnson played. I like the way Mike White has looked. Mike White also 7 of 11, 95 yards, and a touchdown. He looked really good in that first quarter. Running the ball, a little bit of a struggle for the Jets. Carter, 13 for 49. He did catch 1 for 37 in this one. Ty Johnson, 4 for 21. He did lose a fumble early, but he made up for it. He had 3 targets, 2 for 41, and a receiving touchdown. Elijah Moore was probably the player of the game for the Jets. 8 total targets, which led the way. 7 for 84 and 2 touchdowns, 1 from Mike White and 1 from Josh Johnson. Keelan Cole had a good game. He tied with 8 targets for Elijah Moore there, but he goes 5 of 66. Jeff Smith, backup receiver, 3 for 40. Jamison Crowder did see 7 targets, but only 5 for 38. That's kind of a floor game for him. That's okay. Tyler Kroft, 2 for 38. Ryan Griffin, the backup tight end, who's now the starting tight end, 4 for 28 and a touchdown. We'll see if that continues with these quarterbacks. Denzel Mims, 5 targets, but only 1 for 20 as a receiver. And then we got Trayvon Wesco and Braxton Berrios just kind of nicking up a couple catches. But the Colts offense, man, looking really, really efficient. Carson Wentz, 22 of 30, 272 yards and 3 touchdowns in this one. He was sacked once. He added 4 carries for 13 yards. This was all about Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines. 19 attempts for JT, 172 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had a 78-yard touchdown run in this. He also caught 2 of his 2 targets and 28 yards receiving. So massive day out of JT. Nyheim Hines also played really, really well. 6 carries, 74 yards, and a touchdown. Long of 34. He also saw 6 targets in this one, 4 for 34 as a receiver. So we'll see if they can get him rolling a little bit more. Again, no Marlon Mack in this one. Michael Pittman Jr. had a nice day, 6 targets, 5 for 64, and a touchdown. He's essentially a wide receiver too. You can't really think about benching him at this point, the way he's playing with Wentz. Zach Pascal led the team in targets, 7 total targets, 4 for 58. I think he's, as long as T.Y. Hilton doesn't play, I like Zach Pascal as a streaming wide receiver 3 flex option. And then nobody really else saw more than 2 targets here. Zach Pascal and Michael Pittman Jr. were the passing offense along with Nyheim Hines. So interesting game here. Colts keep it rolling. Jets, they showed some spirit in the second half. I'm actually open to them for some fantasy contributions next week. But let's move on to kind of another boring game here. The Patriots and the Panthers. Will be quick here. Really nothing happening on offense for Carolina. But as far as snap counts go, on the Patriots side, Mac Jones only needed to play 90% of this game. Jacoby Myers led the way at receiver with 89%. Nelson Aguilar, the clear number 2 receiver, 87%. And Kendrick Bourne, the number 3 here at 53%. Interesting, just not really any run for N'Keal Harry at all. I don't know if he was injured or not, but at tight end, we saw Hunter Henry play 56% of the snaps to Jonnu Smith's 45%. Hunter Henry continues to catch the touchdowns, continues to get more snaps. Jonnu Smith is kind of an afterthought for me in fantasy right now. At the running back position, we saw 2 concussions, one from Damian Harris and one from Ramondre Stevenson. So Brandon Bolden leads the way at running back snaps. He saw 47%. Damian Harris sees 39%, and Ramondre here at 27% of the snaps. For the Carolina Panthers, Sam Darnold did play the full game. Robbie Anderson led the way at receiver snaps with 92%. DJ Moore had 85%. The next best receiver was Terrace Marshall down here at 37%. So they remain a 2 wide receiver heavy offense. Not going to be interested in Terrace Marshall anytime soon. As far as the tight ends, Ian Thomas led the way at 64%, Tommy Tremble 58%. So they played a lot together, just nothing for fantasy quite yet. And then they kind of eased Christian McCaffrey back in. CMC gets 49% of the snaps. Amir Abdullah actually hopped Chuba Hubbard. Amir Abdullah had 37% of the snaps, and Chuba only got 17%. So a little bit interesting. I think the Carolina Panthers offense is at a crossroads right now. Probably a little disappointed in what Sam Darnold's putting out there, as he saw 3 interceptions this week, 16 of 33, under 50% completion percentage for 172 yards. And again, 3 interceptions, sacked once, only 9 yards rushing. It's just been all downhill since that 3-0 start. CMC, again, he only played about 49% of the snaps, but 14 attempts, 52 yards. He did have 5 targets in this one, 4 for 54 as a receiver. DJ Moore, 2 carries, 14 yards was nice, but 7 targets, 3 for 32 as a receiver. This was a rough go for DJ Moore, and I guess the whole Panthers offense. Chuba Hubbard, only 3 attempts for 3 yards. He did have a nice 33-yard catch, though, on 2 targets. Amir Abdullah kind of taken over as the better passing back over Chuba Hubbard behind CMC. He catches 4 for 30, and then nothing else. Nobody else had more than 2 catches. So Ian Thomas, 1 for 9. Tommy Tremble, 1 for 6. Willie Snead, 1 for 6. Robbie Anderson, 1 for 2. So it's getting pretty bleak here for Carolina. I think CMC is the only must start at the moment right now. DJ Moore, you're still going to leave him in there, but he's kind of falling to a wide receiver 3 status at the moment, and then just ignore the rest. As far as the Patriots go, Mac Jones, the team played really well. He didn't really need to sling it. 12 of 18 passing, 139 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was sacked twice. He did lose a fumble as well in this one. So not the best offensive day for Mac Jones, but they ran the ball really well. Ramondre Stevenson, 10 for 62. He also caught 2 of his 2 targets for 44 yards before leaving with the concussion. Brandon Bolden, 8 attempts, 54 yards on the ground. He also caught both of his targets for 27 yards. And then Damian Harris led the way in carries, 15 total carries, only 30 yards, but he gets a touchdown. 1 catch for 3 yards. We'll see if Harris and Stevenson can go next week. Jonnu Smith, they continue to try to give him rushing attempts, 1 for 4, whatever. 1 for 4 as a receiver. Kendrick Bourne, 3 for 34, leading receiver on the day. Hunter Henry, 2 for 19, but he gets the touchdown, so he remains viable in tight end, 10 and 12-man leagues. And Jacoby Myers, his worst game of the season, 4 targets, 1 for 8. So this was a defensive game for the Patriots. Pretty ugly offensive output besides the running backs for New England. So we'll move on here. Patriots again move to 5-4. Panthers fall to 4-5 after their 3-0 start. Moving on to the Cleveland Browns at the Cincinnati Bengals. The Browns rumble to a 41-16 victory. Both teams evened up at 5-4. This was a rough start just from the get-go for Cincinnati. They drove the ball pretty well, but they couldn't finish when they got close. As far as the Browns here, Baker Mayfield played 94% of the snaps. Njoku leading the way here, 73% of the snaps at tight end. Austin Hooper also 73%. So heavy 2 tight ends on the day here. Jarvis Landry led the receivers, 67%. Donovan Peoples-Jones, number 2 receiver, at 60%. Anthony Schwartz at 58%. So with Odell Beckham removed, I mean, Rashard Higgins is a non-factor. He only played 6% of the snaps. So going forward, it's Landry, Peoples-Jones, and the rookie Anthony Schwartz at receiver. Nick Chubb, 56% of the snaps for him. D'Ernest Johnson, the backup running back, 33%. Harrison Bryant did play a lot too. He played 52%, but nothing really happened for fantasy. On the Bengals side, Jamar Chase played 91% or 95% of the snaps here. Joe Burrow only played 92%. But Tyler Boyd, number 2 receiver, 79%. T. Higgins, 76% of the snaps for him. C.J. Uzomah did play 64%. Joe Mixon played 63%. And Drew Sample getting some backup run here from the backup tight end spot, 51%. And Samaje Perine, the next notable guy here, at 33% of the snaps. Now let's take a peek at these numbers. And again, Burrow had to throw the ball 40 times. He completed 28 passes for 282 yards. He was picked off twice and sacked 5 times. Just a rough day for Burrow. No fumbles, only 1 yard rushing. Brandon Allen did come in for that last little bit there. Joe Mixon did look good, 13 attempts, 64 yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. He did catch all 5 of his targets for 46 yards. So Mixon remains a top 5 back. He's on bye this week. You can just use the week to freshen up. Samaje Perine continues to look fine as the potential handcuff here, 5 for 20 on the ground, 2 for 17 as a backup receiver. T. Higgins, 8 targets, 6 for 78 as a receiver. A nice day. He did have a potential game-saving drop at the end of the game there, but it was a tough catch, and the defender was draped all over him. Jamar Chase really struggled in this one. He did get 2 rushing attempts, which is nice, 2 for 0 yards, though, and he had a team-high 13 targets, but only connected on 6 of 49, or 6 for 49 yards. He did lose a fumble in this one. He had a ball go off his hands for an interception, so he kind of had 2 turnovers in this one. Just a rough day from the exciting rookie. Drew Sample played well. He caught all 3 of his targets for 36 yards. C.J. Uzomah, 5 targets, 4 for 24. And then you just got some scraps down here. Mike Thomas, 1 for 16. Chris Evans, 1 for 11. And Tyler Boyd, man, 2 targets, 1 for 11. I don't know if I'm ever going to feel comfortable starting Tyler Boyd in fantasy anymore. On the Browns side, Baker Mayfield didn't have to do too much, but he made a couple big plays, and that was enough. 14 of 21 passing, 218 yards, and 2 scores here. He was sacked twice, no fumbles, no rushing yards. Nick Chubb was the man today. 14 attempts, 137 yards, and 2 TDs. He had a long of 70 in this game, just a beautiful long touchdown run, and he added 2 for 26 as a receiver. D'Ernest Johnson struggled to get anything going, 8 for 16 as a rusher, no targets. Nobody on the team. Jarvis Landry had 5 targets. Nobody else had more than 3. Donovan Peoples-Jones had the big day, though. 3 targets, 2 for 86, and the long bomb touchdown there. Harrison Bryant, 2 for 26. Demetric Felton, 1 for 22. Njoku, 1 for 18, and he gets the touchdown. Anthony Schwartz, 1 for 15. Austin Hooper, 2 for 14. Jarvis Landry, 3 for 11. Just this pass catching pie is pretty weird in Cleveland. I think Nick Chubb's really the only must start. For me, Landry's nice. But again, it's a pretty low volume for the Cleveland Browns. But anyways, Browns win 41-16. Both teams leveled up at 5-4. Cincinnati's on a bye this week. Cleveland will head to New England. Surprise game. Broncos, Dallas Cowboys. Broncos win at Dallas 30-16. Cowboys fall to 6-2. Broncos move to 5-4. Starting with the Broncos snap counts here, Teddy Bridgewater did play the full game. Cortland Sutton saw 83% of the routes. The next best receiver was Tim Patrick at 62%. And you saw Jerry Jeudy take another step forward with his opportunity here. 60% of the snaps for him. Kendall Hinton's the number 4 receiver, 28%. As far as the tight ends go, with Noah Fant out, we saw Albert Okwuegbunam get 81% of the snaps. Eric Saubert also played a lot. 63% of the snaps for him. So the Broncos are a 2 tight end offense. I still think Albert O is a guy to keep an eye on going forward. And then the running backs, Melvin Gordon played 53% of the snaps. Javonte Williams did play 47%. On the Cowboys side here, Dak played the full game. Dalton Schultz played 95%. He led the flex players. He led the flex players in snaps. Cedric Wilson led the team in wide receiver snaps, 82% for him. CeeDee Lamb played 71%. Amari Cooper played 58%, so that's interesting. Ezekiel Elliott played 53% of the snaps, and Tony Pollard got 39%. Backup receivers, Noah Brown played 40%, and Malik Turner played 29%. So just a weird day for the Cowboys here. Couldn't get anything going. Dak really struggled in this one. Dak Prescott going 19 of 39, 232 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and he added 16 yards rushing. Ezekiel Elliott on the day, 10 attempts, 51 yards. He did catch all 3 of his targets for 25. And then Tony Pollard, nothing really happening for him. Only 4 attempts, 11 yards. I think this is one of his first games below 8 or 9 rushing attempts. 2 targets, 1 for 32 as a receiver. So I guess still a decent enough floor in PPR leagues. He did get, 5.3 points here. Dalton Schultz, 5 targets, 4 for 54. That's a nice 9.4 PPR day. Amari Cooper, 5 targets, but 2 for 37. Concerning there. Malik Taylor led the team in receptions in this one. He had 7 targets, 5 catches, 33 yards, and both Dak Prescott touchdowns. Cedric Wilson goes 5 targets, 2 for 28. CeeDee Lamb, 9 targets, the team high 9 targets, but only 2 for 23 as a receiver. Just a rough day for the Cowboys all around. I'd like to think that this is a rare occurrence. We'll see if they can get back on track at home against Atlanta next week. Now, for the Broncos, Teddy Bridgewater, really solid game here. 19 of 28 passing, 249 yards, 1 passing touchdown. He was sacked 4 times, so that's a little concerning. The Broncos did have some offensive linemen missing in this one, but Teddy also had a 1-yard rushing touchdown in this one. I think the player of the game for the Broncos was Javonte Williams. 17 attempts, 111 yards. He didn't get a target, so no catches in this one, but 111 yards rushing on 17 attempts for the rookie. Melvin Gordon also had a pretty solid day. 21 attempts for him, 80 yards, 1 touchdown. He also caught 2 for 15 as a receiver. Tim Patrick led the way in receiving yards. He caught 4 of his 5 targets for 85 yards and the lone Teddy Bridgewater passing touchdown. Jerry Jeudy led the team in targets. He had 8 targets. Also led the team in catches with 6 for 69 yards. Jerry Jeudy's back. He's a wide receiver 3 flex in PPR leagues. Kendall Hinton, 1 for 40, whatever. Albert O, 5 targets, 4 for 25. And then Cortland Sutton, guys, I'm nervous. With Jerry Jeudy back, Cortland Sutton's kind of an afterthought for Teddy Bridgewater. Only 2 targets in this one, 1 for 9. And the backup tight end, Eric Saubert, 1 for 6. So Denver, keeping things alive. They're still in the playoff hunt. I believe they might even be a wild card team right now, in Dallas holding on to that 3 or the 4 seed in the NFC right now. So Broncos take this one 30. They move 30-16. Broncos move to 5-4. Cowboys fall to 6-2. The weirdest game of the day: Buffalo Bills, Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville wins 9-6. Jacksonville, the Jaguars move to 2-6. The Buffalo Bills fall to 5-3. Snap counts in this one. On the Buffalo side, you see Emmanuel Sanders play 99% of the snaps. Stephon Diggs get 88%. With Cole Beasley kind of questionable for this one, he did play 67% of the snaps. Isaiah McKenzie and Gabe Davis both played 28% of the snaps. I think we can cancel Gabriel Davis for redraft leagues if you're holding on to him. Probably don't need to. We saw Zach Moss leave with a concussion in this one. He only played 28% of the snaps. Devin Singletary, though, 72% of the snaps for him. And then with Dawson Knox out, you see Tommy Sweeney get 87% of the snaps. No other tight end got snaps in this game, I believe. So Tommy Sweeney remains as the guy behind Dawson Knox. Again, the Jaguars, we see Trevor Lawrence, 90% of the snaps for him. He did leave in this one. I think he had a low ankle sprain. He should be okay, questionable for week 10. Marvin Jones led the way at receiver, 84% of the snaps. Laviska Shenault did play 79% of the snaps. And Jamal Agnew here at 54%. The running backs, with James Robinson out, you see Carlos Hyde play 79%. Really nothing else after Carlos Hyde. Darrell Ogunbowale played 13%. Tight ends, this is Dan Arnold's job here. He played 57% of the snaps. Low snaps, but he, again, we'll get to his numbers in a bit. Luke Farrell and Chris Manhertz at 48 and 44% respectively. And that's really it. CJ Beathard was the backup quarterback. He did play 10% of this game. But let's go look at the numbers. A true rock fight. Let's see what we got here. Trevor Lawrence completed 15 of 26 passes, only 118 yards, no turnovers. That might have been the best stat of the day for this young Trevor Lawrence game here, where they only managed to get 6 points, but he didn't turn the ball over, they only managed to get 9 points, but he didn't turn the ball over. 4 attempts or 4 yards rushing. Carlos Hyde did see 21 carries in this one, but only 67 yards, 1 reception for 6 yards. He did lose the fumble, so the Jaguars did have a fumble, but Carlos Hyde managed to get enough carries there. Jamal Agnew, 1 for 11, 5 targets, 3 for 27 today. Just so a rough day. He had been trending positive for PPR leagues lately. Nothing much from Darrell Ogunbowale. But Dan Arnold leads the way with 7 targets, leads the team with 4 receptions for 60 yards. He's a tight end one streaming option going forward. Marvin Jones, you see 5 targets, 3 for 21. Chris Manhertz, 1 for 9. Laviska Shenault, 4 for 24. The targets are we need more out of Laviska. Only 1 attempt for -4 yards here. So just disappointing day from the Jaguars here. And Josh Allen, man, probably one of the worst games I've ever seen him play. 31 of 47 passing, 264 yards. He was picked off twice, sacked 4 times, but he did add 50 yards rushing, and he also had a fumble in this one. So 3 turnovers, sacked 4 times. Devin Singletary, 6 for 16 as a rusher. 8 targets, 7 for 43 as a receiver, so decent enough in PPR formats. Zach Moss struggled in this one, 3 for 6 yards rushing, 2 for 18 as a receiver. Stephon Diggs led the way in receiving yards with 8 targets, 6 catches, and 85 yards. Emmanuel Sanders, 8 targets, 4 for 65. Cole Beasley led the team in targets and receptions. He had 11 targets, 8 receptions, and only 33 yards. So it was all dinks and dunks with Cole Beasley here. Tommy Sweeney, 2 for 10. Isaiah McKenzie, 2 for 10. Gabe Davis, 2 targets, no catches. So I'm going to chalk this one up as to just a really weird game for Buffalo. Jacksonville, hats off to the Jaguars here. They played really well, and they got the win. They outlasted. They turned the ball over less. They didn't move the ball more than Buffalo, but they just committed a few less turnovers and mistakes there. So congrats to the Jacksonville Jaguar fan base. 2-6 for Jacksonville. Buffalo 5-3. Let's move on to Green Bay and Kansas City. Green Bay falls to 7-2. Kansas City goes to 5-4. 13-7 Kansas City. Again, this one's in Kansas City. Looking at the snap counts real quick, Jordan Love did play the full game. Devontae Adams, 92% of the routes. Allen Lazard, the clear number 2 receiver in this one, 84%. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, good to see him back, 54% of the snaps. And Randall Cobb here at 52%. As far as running backs go, Aaron Jones did play 63%. A.J. Dillon played 38% of the snaps. And at tight end, with no Robert Tonyan, we see Mercedes Lewis, 46%. Dominique Daphne coming out of nowhere with 40% of the snaps. And Josiah DeGuara remaining low with snaps, 24% for him. On the Chiefs side here, Travis Kelce led the way, 86% of the snaps. Tyreek Hill saw 83%. Mecole Hardman, the number 2 receiver with 65%. Byron Pringle, the number 3 receiver at 46%. And then Josh Gordon, 29%. And Demarcus Robinson, 22%. So Mecole Hardman kind of solidified himself there as the number 2 receiver. And Byron Pringle, keep an eye on Byron Pringle here. If he continues to be that number 3 receiver getting snaps, I might be interested. Darrell Williams led the way at running back, 54%. Jerick McKinnon saw some run in this one, 31%. And Derek Gore just 15% of the snaps. Now let's go look at the numbers. And I know the numbers are not going to be great for both sides here. Jordan Love, starting with the Packers, he was 19 of 34, 190 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was sacked once. And I find that really impressive because he was blitzed probably 60% of the time in this one by multiple people. At various times, the Chiefs were sending 7 people on a blitz. And for him to only be sacked once, I thought he handled the pressure fine. Again, his first career start here. Didn't look pretty in the first half, but he did battle back here. He also led the team into 5 potential scoring positions here, 5 for 23 on the ground as a rusher. So he had more fantasy points than Patrick Mahomes. It wasn't the best day, but if you watch this game, I don't think the Packers lost because of Jordan Love. It was more a combination of the bad special teams play, letting field goals not get converted, and a horrible muff punt there that gave the Chiefs 3 more extra points. Aaron Jones, 12 for 53 as a rusher, 2 targets, no catches for Aaron Jones on the day, so that was frustrating. A.J. Dillon, 8 for 46 as a rusher, 4 targets, 4 catches, 44 yards. So Jordan Love to A.J. Dillon connection looked really good. Randall Cobb, 5 targets, 3 for 50 as a receiver. Devontae Adams, a target hog. Jordan Love threw to him 14 times, only 6 for 42 as a receiver. So that number needs to improve. We got to get that completion percentage higher to Devontae. Allen Lazard, 1 target, 1 catch, 20 yards, and the awesome touchdown there. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, 2 for 19. DeGuara, 2 for 16. Daphne, no catches, and Mercedes Lewis had a negative 1-yard catch there. On the Chiefs side, Mahomes, The offense struggled in this one. Mahomes, 20 of 37, 166 yards, 1 touchdown, sacked once, -2 yards rushing. Darrell Williams, 19 for 70 as a rusher, 3 for 7 as a receiver. Derek Gore, 3 for 13 as a rusher, 1 for 6 as a receiver. Travis Kelce led the way in receiving yards. He did see 8 targets, 5 for 68, and the lone touchdown here. Jerick McKinnon, 3 for 26. Mecole Hardman, 3 for 20. Had a bad drop in that one. Demarcus Robinson, 1 for 2. And then Tyreek Hill, 1 carry, -4 yards. He also had a team high 11 targets, but they could only complete 4 passes to him for 37 yards. So Green Bay really took out Tyreek Hill. Travis Kelce, he did fine. But this was a weird game on both sides. The offenses just didn't really want to get going. And the Chiefs able to outlast the Packers, move to 5-4. Packers fall to 7-2. Moving on to Houston and Miami. Miami gets their second win of the season, 17-9 over the Houston Texans. Texans fall to 1-8. Miami goes to 2-7. On the Texans side, Tyrod Taylor did play the full game here. Brandon Cooks led the way at 97% of the snaps. Nico Collins, a guy that might be someone worth monitoring, 70% of the snaps for him. The leading tight end on the day, Anthony Auclair, 52%. Danny Amendola got some run there, 49%. David Johnson led the team in running back snaps, so that's interesting, 45% for him. Rex Burkhead only played 30%. And Phillip Lindsay, 20%. If you're holding on to Burkhead or Lindsay, I don't think it's worth our time. David Johnson might be the only guy worth holding on to here, but I really can't recommend using too many Texans outside of Brandon Cooks at the moment. For the Dolphins, no Tua Tagovailoa in this one, so Jacoby Brissett gets the start. Jalen Waddle led the team in receiver snaps with 87. Matt Collins played well, 80% of the snaps for him. Mike Gesicki up here at 79%. Myles Gaskin, 72% to just dominate the running back touches here. Durham Smythe, 60%. Adam Shaheen, 48%. So they used a lot of tight ends in this one. And then the backup receivers here, Albert Wilson and Kirk Merritt, really nothing to manage. Nothing to talk about. And then Salvin Ahmed, 19%. So let's look at these Dolphin numbers real quick. Jacoby Brissett, 26 of 43, 244 yards, 1 touchdown. He was intercepted twice, sacked 4 times, and he lost a fumble. So they managed to win the game just because the Texans offense couldn't get anything going. But Jacoby was careless with the ball in this one, under pressure a lot in this game. Myles Gaskin did rack up 20 attempts, but only 34 yards and 1 rushing touchdown. So nothing going on the ground here. 6 for 23 as a receiver, though. Gaskin did lose a fumble in this one. So the Dolphins had 4 turnovers. Salvin Ahmed, 4 for 6 as a rusher. No catches, no targets. Jalen Waddle was the play of the game. 10 total targets, 8 for 83 as a receiver. He's playing well as a wide receiver 3 for PPR flex consideration. Gesicki, 8 targets, 4 for 54. That's a decent floor game. And then really nothing else to talk about here. Matt Collins, 3 for 22 and a touchdown. This team needs Devontae Parker back. They need Preston Williams. They need Will Fuller. We need healthier receivers for the Dolphins. And then the Houston Texans, I'm yawning already, just getting ready to talk about this. 24 for 43 for Tyrod, 240 yards, 3 interceptions, 23 yards as a rusher. He was sacked 5 times. Danny Amendola attempted a pass in this one, 7 targets, 3 for 49. Leading rusher, Phillip Lindsay, 8 for 28. David Johnson, 4 for 11, 3 for 29 as a receiver for DJ. Rex Burkhead, whatever. Brandon Cooks, 13 targets, 6 for 56 yards to lead the way. He gets you double-digit points in PPR leagues. That's fine. And then I really don't even want to read the rest of this. Nico Collins, I'll shout him out. 3 targets, 3 catches for 25 yards. We'll see if he can keep it up and maybe be interesting towards the end of the season. But ugly game. Dolphins-Texans combined for a boatload of turnovers in this one. Atlanta and New Orleans, just a weekend full of surprises. Atlanta wins 27-25 on that impressive Cordero Patterson play at the end of regulation. Saints fall to 5-3. Atlanta, currently the number 7 seed in the NFC, 27-25 Atlanta. Let's go look at the snap counts here. Leading the way at receiver for Atlanta, you see Russell Gage, 81%, Tajay Sharp, 80%. Number 3 receiver is Olamide Zaccheaus, who we'll get to in a sec. He had 49%. Those are the only 3 receivers you need to know for Atlanta with Calvin Ridley out. Kyle Pitts did play 75%. And then Cordero Patterson and Mike Davis both played a lot. They both played 56% of the snaps exactly. So there's a few plays where they overlapped and were on the field together there. Now, on the Saints side, with Jameis Winston done for the year, we see a mix of Trevor Simeon and Taysom Hill at quarterback. Simeon did play 96% of the snaps. Taysom Hill got on the field for 22%. It looked like he had maybe 3 plays as the quarterback there with Simeon out. Adam Troutman, 88% as the tight end there. Traquan Smith leading the way at receiver, though, 80% of the snaps. He's a guy maybe worth picking up off waivers. Marquez Callaway, 79% of the snaps. Kenny Stills did play 33%, and Deontay Harris did play 30%. But if you have to own a Saints receiver, it's Traquan or Marquez. Alvin Kamara, 68% of the snaps. And Mark Ingram playing well in this one, 34% of the snaps for him. Let's go take a peek at this box score now. Trevor Simeon, he played decently. He did have a fumble here in this one, though, but he goes 25 of 41, 249 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. He was sacked once, no yards rushing. Taysom Hill contributes 2 of 2 passing for 33 yards. He also had a 4-yard rushing attempt. Curious to see if we see Taysom Hill start week 10, week 11. It's coming soon, I believe. Alvin Kamara, 13 attempts, 50 yards rushing, and 1 touchdown. He did see 7 targets, 4 for 54 as a receiver. So just, a ho-hum Alvin Kamara line here. He gets his 100 yards, he gets a touchdown, and he racks up a few catches. Mark Ingram, though, 9 rushing attempts, 43 yards, 5 catches for 21 yards as a receiver. So he's potentially limiting the ceiling of Alvin Kamara. Remember, if when Kamara was just having this backfield to himself, he was hitting 20 attempts per game. So Ingram's taking a little bit off of Kamara's plate. Ingram is an interesting RB2 flex play in PPR leagues. Alex Arma here with some stats rushing. But Traquan Smith, 4 targets, 3 for 53 as a receiver. Deontay Harris led the team in targets in this one. 8 total targets, 6 for 52 as a receiver. Adam Troutman, nice day. 7 targets, 4 for 47 here. Interesting to see if this Simeon-Troutman connection remains going forward. Kenny Stills caught a touchdown. He did go 2 for 30 and the score. And Marquez Callaway, 3 for 25 and the touchdown there. On the Atlanta side, Matt Ryan was balling. 23 of 30 passing, 343 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was only sacked twice, and then he did contribute 8 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. Mike Davis, only 9 for 13 as a rusher, 1 for 5 as a receiver. Cordero Patterson, 9 for 10 as a rusher, but he did go 6 targets, 6 catches, 126 yards as a wide receiver. So huge day for Cordero as a receiver. You can't run on the Saints here. As you see, Mike Davis and Cordero combined for 18 carries and 23 yards. So good luck trying to run on the Saints. Russell Gage led the team in targets, 8 total targets, 7 for 64. Kyle Pitts, 3 for 62. He did see 7 targets. This is a good line here. If you hit 9 points with your tight end, you're fine. Olamide Zaccheaus, though, 3 targets, 3 receptions, 58 yards, and both Matt Ryan touchdowns. Hayden Hurst, 2 for 16, whatever. And Tajay Sharp, 1 for 12. I'm nervous about Gage and Sharp kind of bouncing back and forth of being the important receiver for Matt Ryan. But good game from the Falcons. They win 27-25. We'll move on to the Raiders and the New York Giants. Giants win 23-16. Move to 3-6. Raiders fall to 5-3. Let's look at the Raiders side real quick here. Derek Carr did play 99% of the snaps. Zay Jones led the team in wide receiver snaps at 96%. Brian Edwards, 93%. Hunter Renfrow, 65% of the snaps. It's rumored that Deshaun Jackson's going to the Raiders, so we'll see what happens there. But Darren Waller, 88% of the snaps. Josh Jacobs played 49%. Kenyon Drake played 45%. And then Jalen Richard got a few snaps here at 7%. For the Giants here, Evan Ingram played a good game, 82% of the snaps for him. Devontae Booker, 73% of the snaps for him. Probably his last game as the Giants lead back. Kyle Rudolph, 55%. And then the receivers just all took turns here. Galladay, Slayton, and Tony all saw 55% of the snaps. And then Colin Johnson here gets 38%. So all these guys were treated as equals, which was interesting. Let's go ahead and look at the box score here. Daniel Jones goes 15 of 20, only 110 yards passing, 1 touchdown, sacked twice, 17 yards rushing, and 1 fumble. Kadarius Toney was sacked in this one for 6 yards. 1 attempt for -2 yards. He also had 1 catch for 9 yards. So rough day for Toney. I probably recommended him as a starter in this one, so I got burnt by that as well. Devontae Booker, 21 carries, 99 yards rushing, 3 for 23 as a receiver. Elijah Penny, backup running back, fullback here, 35 yards rushing, 2 for -8 as a receiver. Evan Ingram, 3 for 38 and a touchdown. 2nd week in a row with a touchdown. Kenny Galladay, 2 for 28. Kyle Rudolph, 4 for 20. Darius Slayton, no catches. Just ugly day. They managed to somehow win this game with just one offensive touchdown. So pretty remarkable stuff here. Interesting how they got this done. But nonetheless, Giants win. Derek Carr, 30 of 46 passing, 296 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 1 fumble, and 5 yards rushing. Josh Jacobs goes 13 of 76 on the ground, 4 for 19 as a receiver. It's refreshing to see Jacobs used more as a pass weapon, so I like seeing that. Kenyon Drake, though, 4 for 30 as a rusher, but 8 targets, 6 for 70 as a receiving weapon. Marcus Mariota got a 6-yard carry in this one. But Darren Waller, typical Darren Waller day without the touchdown, 11 targets, 7 for 92. Hunter Renfrow, 9 targets, 7 for 49, and he gets the lone touchdown pass of the day here. Alec Ingold, fullback here, 3 for 28. Zay Jones, 1 for 20. Jalen Richard, 2 for 18. Bryan Edwards, people were hot on the Bryan Edwards this week in the waiver wire, thinking with no Henry Ruggs in this one, Bryan Edwards to get more run the rest of the season. That did not happen. 4 targets, 0 catches. So impressive game from the Giants. They were able to withstand this mess here. 23-16. We'll move on to the Chargers and the Philadelphia Eagles. This one was an interesting game. Chargers win 27-24. Chargers move to 5-3. Eagles fall to 3-6. On the Chargers side here, you see Keenan Allen lead the way, 90% of the snaps. Mike Williams, 83%. Can't really trust another receiver outside of those two guys. The next guy up would be Jalen Guyton, 36%. Josh Palmer, 30%. As far as running backs go, Austin Eckler did play 67% of the snaps. Steven Anderson led the way at tight end with 45%, Jared Cook 42%, and Donald Parham 41%. So they used 3 tight ends, and they all played pretty well in this one. On the Eagles side here, Quez Watkins led the way at receiver, 96% of the snaps. Dallas Goedert, 93%. Devonta Smith, 77%. Jalen Reagor, probably done with him for the rest of the season here, 51% of the snaps. Backup tight end here, Jack Stoll. Boston Scott led the way at running back, 44%. Jordan Howard, 40%. And Kenneth Gainwell, surprised, but 19% of the snaps for him. He's just kind of an afterthought with these running backs they have ahead of him right now. Looking at the Eagles stats, Jalen Hurts, only 11 of 17 passing, 162 yards, 1 touchdown. 10 for 62 as a rusher. No rushing touchdowns for Jalen Hurts. Jordan Howard led the way in carries, 17 of 71, 1 touchdown rushing here. So huge day for Jordan Howard. He might be worth a pickup this week. Boston Scott goes 10 for 40, no touchdowns, no targets, no receptions. Kenneth Gainwell, 2 attempts, 3 yards, and a rushing touchdown. Surprisingly, no targets to any of the 3 running backs. Devonta Smith, 6 targets, 5 for 116, and 1 touchdown. Dallas Goedert goes 6 targets, 3 for 43, so 7.3 PPR points. I guess that's fine. Quez Watkins, Jalen Reagor shut him down. This was Justin Herbert day, though. On the road, he goes 32 of 38, 356 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, wasn't sacked once all game here, 5 for 14 and a rushing touchdown. Austin Eckler was bottled up for the most part in this one, 17 attempts, 59 rushing yards. He did catch all 3 of his targets for 23 yards. Andre Roberts, Josh Kelly, Larry Roundtree, whatever. But Keenan Allen had a day, 13 targets, 12 catches, 104 yards, no touchdowns, but really solid PPR stat line there. Mike Williams did see the second most targets, only 5 targets though, 2 for 58 for Big Mike. Jared Cook catches all 4 of his targets for 48 yards. And then here's Donald Parham, 3 for 39 and a touchdown. Steven Anderson, 4 for 39 and a touchdown. So both the tight ends here, I guess all 3 tight ends playing really well. And then there's Josh Palmer and Jalen Guyton. So fun day for the Chargers offense. Eagles struggled to pass the ball, but they really stuck with the run and kept it close. But they fall short in the end. We'll move on to the Sunday Night Football game. Tennessee and the LA Rams. Just checking in on the Bears score here. Looking, they just scored a touchdown. It looks like David Montgomery punched one in there. But Tennessee impressively takes out the Rams at LA 28-16 here. Titans move to 7-2. Rams fall to 7-2. As far as the Titans go, A.J. Brown led the way at receiver, 78% of the snaps. Julio Jones, 74%. No other receiver needs to be considered here. I'm going to say, I'm not even going to read any of the tight ends here for you guys. It's just a mess at tight end. But the running back snaps. Jeremy McNichols got the most run, 45%. Adrian Peterson saw 33%, and Deonta Foreman saw 21%. On the Rams side here, Cooper Kupp played the full game, 100% of the snaps. Robert Woods played the full game, 100%. And then Tyler Higbee up here at 97. Van Jefferson did play 96% of the snaps. Darrell Henderson saw 60%, and Sony Michel played decently in this one, 40% for him. That's really the only Rams players worth mentioning. They really keep it consolidated. Just look at the box score. Look at all the names here for the Titans, and then just look at the guys for the Rams. Matt Stafford, 31 of 48, 294 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, sacked 5 times, 13 yards rushing. Darrell Henderson, 11 for 55 as a rusher, 3 receptions, 3 yards, just nothing going for Darrell. Sony Michel, 7 of 20 on the ground, 3 targets, 2 catches, 6 yards, and 1 touchdown. Robert Woods, 1 attempt for 6 yards rushing, 10 targets, 7 for 98, so decent floor here for Woods. Cooper Kupp, 13 targets, 11 for 95. Just take your 20 points. I know it's probably below his average, but you'll be fine. And Tyler Higbee, 10 targets, 5 for 51. Van Jefferson, 7 targets, 3 for 41. So you're not going to see Stafford throw the ball 48 times, but it was I guess a fruitful fantasy day by the end of it for everybody involved. But the Titans, Tannehill goes 19 of 27, 143 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, sacked 3 times, and he did add 3 yards and a rushing touchdown. D'Onta Foreman actually looked like the best runner of the football here, 5 for 29, no targets. Jeremy McNichols goes 7 of 24, 3 receptions and 11 yards. So he's probably the PPR guy here going forward. And then Adrian Peterson, they fed him 10 carries, 21 yards, and a touchdown. He also had a 5-yard catch in this one. So AP, goal line back here. They did have D'Onta Foreman in there a couple times in the red zone, though. A.J. Brown led the way, 11 targets, 5 for 42 as a receiver. Julio Jones, 4 for 35. And I'm just not even going to read the rest here. We care about A.J. Brown, Julio, and then these running backs, and Tannehill, of course. But Tennessee impresses. They're going to have a fun game against the Saints coming up next. Vikings and the Ravens, the only game to go to overtime this afternoon here. Ravens take it 34-31. 6-2 for the Ravens, 3-5 for the Vikings. Snap counts for Minnesota. You see Adam Thielen, 89% of the snaps for him. Justin Jefferson, 80%. KJ Osborne, the number 3 receiver, at 48%. Tyler Conklin played well, 87% for the tight ends here. And then Dalvin Cook getting 80% of the snaps. Madison only played 17 for the Ravens. Marquise Brown led the way, 82%. Mark Andrews, 79%. Rashad Bateman, man, looking good, 66% of the snaps for him. And then you got the fullback getting some snaps. Devonta Freeman led the way for running backs, 58%. The next best running back was Le'Veon Bell, 23%. Tyson Williams, kind of an afterthought, 18% of the snaps here. Taking a peek at the numbers, Lamar played really well, 27 of 41. It took him a while to get going, but he racked up enough stats by the end of this one. 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 120 rushing yards, 21 total attempts for Lamar. Devonta Freeman led the way in running attempts for running backs, 13 for 79 as a rusher, and he is the pass-catching back here. 3 targets, 2 for 4, and a score. Le'Veon Bell, 11 for 48, and he punched one in for a score here. Marquise Brown, team high, 12 targets, 9 catches, 116 yards. He's playing great football right now, locked and loaded as your wide receiver 2 or 3. Rashad Bateman, 8 targets, 5 for 52, continuing to play well. Mark Andrews, 10 total targets, 5 for 44. You'll take your 9.4 points. And then Patrick Ricard and Devin Duvernay catch the obscure touchdowns here. For the Vikings, it started off so well. Kirk Cousins, 17 of 28, 187 yards and 2 touchdowns. Not sacked once in this entire game. He also added a rushing touchdown. Dalvin Cook, 17 for 110 yards. He had a long of 66 in this one. After that, they kind of bottled him up really well. 3 for 12 as a receiver. There's Justin Jefferson, 1 for 11. Justin Jefferson had a 50-yard touchdown in this one, but he could only get 3 for 69 and the score. Keen Nwangwu, the backup running back, 1 attempt, 9 yards, but he had a return for a touchdown. Tyler Conklin played well in this one, 7 targets, 5 for 45. CJ Ham, whatever. KJ Osborne, 1 for 20, whatever. Adam Thielen, though, 7 targets, 2 for 6, and the touchdown. So you're fine. You got the touchdown if you played Thielen. So continuing to use Thielen, Jefferson, Cook, and then consider streaming Kirk Cousins when you need to. And Tyler Conklin, man, playing really well as a potential top 10 tight end. Again, Ravens take this one in overtime, 34-31. And then our final game of the Week 10 slate here. Again, Chicago-Pittsburgh's going on behind me right now, so I'm not going to review that one. You can check out this again. I'm using Pro Football Reference Just click on the game, and then you can hit snap counts and see everything there. Arizona, though, they win 31-17. They move to NFL best record of 8-1. 49ers fall to 3-5. Chase Edmonds got hurt in this one, so that's going to affect the numbers here. But Colt McCoy, 97% of the snaps. They got the backup QB, Chris Streveler, in there at the end of this one. Christian Kirk with Hopkins and A.J. Green out. Christian Kirk leads the way, 96%. Rondell Moore, 81%. Antoine Wesley, 77%, whatever. But Zach Ertz, 80% of the snaps. Good for him there. And then James Conner, man, 77% of the snaps for him. Eno Benjamin gets 24%. And Chase Edmonds, I don't even see him here. He played one snap and got hurt with a high ankle sprain. He's going to be out for the next 4 to 6 weeks. 49ers, Brandon Ayuk is back, baby. 93% of the snaps here. Deebo Samuel got 92%. I don't care about any other receiver not named Ayuk or Deebo. And George Kittle's back, 73% for him. Elijah Mitchell played 66% of the snaps, and JaMychal Hasty did play 34%. Let's go take a peek at these numbers up here. Jimmy Garoppolo, 28 of 40, 326 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 5 sacks, though, 3 yards rushing here. Elijah Mitchell led the way on the ground, 8 for 36, and he also caught all 5 of his targets for 43 yards. I believe JaMychal Hasty got hurt in this one, so that allowed more Mitchell in the passing game. Hasty goes 1 for 2 as a rusher, 3 for 11 as a receiver. George Kittle dominated in this one, 8 targets, 6 for 101 and a touchdown, but he did lose a fumble. Deebo Samuel, 9 targets, a team high 9 targets, 5 for 63. You'll take your floor here for Deebo. And then Brandon Ayuk, 8 targets, 6 for 89, and a touchdown. He also lost a fumble in this one, but Ayuk looks to be back to making plays. Colt McCoy, 22 of 26 passing, 249 yards, 1 touchdown. He was sacked twice. Mistake-free football here from Colt McCoy. Christian Kirk almost threw a touchdown in this one. He did go 1 of 1 passing for 33 yards. He also caught all 6 of his targets for 91 yards. Christian Kirk, man, he's been playing really well. I think he's a top 30, top 36 receiver right now. But this was all about James Conner. My God, James Conner, 21 carries, 96 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. He caught all 5 of his targets for 77 more yards and another touchdown. Just a 40-burger from James Conner in this one. Eno Benjamin, 9 for 39, and he gets a touchdown himself. So with Chase Edmonds out for the next few weeks here, Eno Benjamin's going to be the backup running back in case anything happens to Conner. Anton Wesley, 3 for 68. Zach Ertz, 3 for 27. Rondell Moore, 5 for 25. Just an interesting day here. We'll see if Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins can return next week, but it's James Conner season officially, so enjoy the Conner. That's going to do it. We just recapped all 13 of the games here from week number 9. Steelers and the Bears are playing right now. Looks like it's 13-23. I'm going to tune in and watch the final of that game in the 4th quarter. So let me know if you guys made it to the end of the video. Comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see you on the live stream Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central Time. So again, thank you so much for your time. We'll see you in the next video. Peace.